Thanks, the sisters, for this invitation. It's the third time that I come to this venue to talk about these topics and share issues regarding the environment and the concerns. So it's difficult not to be repetitive, especially coming all from the same venue. But I will address my speech first, starting by the role of the dicastery and how the dicastery has been changing, considering that Her Excellence Chiara was also naming the question addressed to Cardinal Czerny about if we just listen to bishops or not. Well, just a brief history. Before the history of the dicastery, I should actually talk about just getting the example and stealing the example of Akin to my own personal experience. It's funny that I started my young experience listening to civil voices and studying for my PhD the necessity to have a fundamental right to environment to protect private parties. And this was really back into the beginning of 2000. And at that time, it was really timely to start thinking about a fundamental right to environment within the context of Europe, because there was really no possibility in a court to address as a private the possibility to get an instance to get your defended just on the basis of your right to environment. You needed to use the right to property, other rights, especially the right to property. So combining different rights to get to protect the environment. And now we are discussing not just the possibility to have a fundamental right to environment, but the climate justice has really improved. Now it's a topic that it's really at the hands of, let's say, the civil society and all the governance chain that has come through all the United Nations framework and what has moved at the grassroots level in terms of awareness in climate justice is really a lot, is really important. So how the dicastery, the institutional part of the church and the curia is engaged in all this? Well, the dicastery for integral human development is young, so it's also young as the climate justice. From 2017, from January, we started moving ahead. I joined the dicastery in September, and I'm part of this transition. This transition that was actually determined for the dicastery by the Predicate Evangelion, but it's been determined by the will of the Church, and Pope Francis wanted to indicate this missionary role of the Church at this moment, where we really need to integrate these voices of the margins. We know that one of the crucial signs of this pontificate is actually integrating the voices from the margins, starting from migrants, starting from the people, from the cry of the poor, all the people that institutionally seem not to have place. So that is the first thing that the Laudato Si tells us. Actually, it's like the Laudato Si was explaining to us who we are, and then the Fratelli Tutti started to say how we can do something, what we can do. And that's the way I like to see the things. So on how the dicastery is transforming, well, in practical terms, we are now divided. The dicastery actually is a merge of different pontificate councils and commissions taking care of health, migration, economy, security, and ecology. So we are not really separating all these topics. We are integrating all these topics. We are really actually more interested in the etc., and we are focused on listening what is coming from the local churches and not just from the bishops, but from everyone. It is true that most of the time we are listening in their visit ad limina, the bishops that come with their problems, but it's also incredible to see how the vision of the church and the bishops is being transformed along these years, and they are bringing more and more this concern about the environment, the need for advocacy, the need to have at the grassroots levels the tools and the instruments to be integrated in their daily job. So this is important for us, that we are currently in the year 0, and so we still need to evaluate the effectiveness of this new model, and so we really need, at the moment, we really need to collect this wealth. We don't have a predetermined agenda, which is something that before was more common, and it is still part of the development world. We are really looking at what is emerging. Is really that this needs to be our agenda, what we listen. So advocacy, of course, is not part of the dicastery, given that this falls within the Secretary of State, but we of course integrate delegations, and we've been integrated the delegation of the Holy See at the COP27, but we are really needing to be equipped to represent voices at the margins. And it was important to hear the voices talking about the synod, because of course the process of synodality is very important to integrate these voices, and overall now is to accompany these initiatives and practically empower them to pursue integral human development. So this is crucial, and this is why it's crucial to Lorna was actually mentioning the need to integrate our voices with the sisters. I think now the Church really needs to work in this synodal way. So we really need at first to think that the Curia is not this place where decisions are taken. This dicastery is really at the service of breaking this voice and thinking in this ecclesial way that is more missionary, that is see us all working together. But of course, on this, what is our role with the environment? We are hearing these voices that need tools for advocating and protect the environment, how we protect ecosystems, how we address such a complex time in our society that is really transitioning. And that is where our convening capacity and the links with the local churches all around the world bring the voices of the most vulnerable and excluded people at those tables. I think I like to dream that in this moment of change of the Church, we could be convening these tables in which we could include these voices. It's really like breaking the myth that we are going to have, yes, the bishop, and establishing if this is what is interest. We really need to see that something is changing. Of course, changes take time. Transition takes time. It's not something that we are not going to be, I don't think things are going to be quick. It's like this problem. The problem of climate change, as we've seen, needs finance at the table, needs complex systems at the table, political discussions, education. You were talking about, human trafficking problems are also part of this complex problem of climate change, because everything, and the Laudato Si gives this message, is a social problem that is bringing the crisis. It's not really the climate or the nature that is crying. It's really the human being, the human condition that is broken at the moment. So the Laudato Si is in fact a social encyclical. Actually climate is just mentioned 14 times, while the social problem is mentioned more than 50 times. So really, we know that governments are unable to give justice, and we need that the right to development of the poor and the question of poverty alleviation needs to be placed at the heart of a true moral response. So that's the mission of the Church, of the faith movements, but it's also the mission of our human part today. So raising awareness in an open way and in an interreligious discussion, as the Pope has been addressing the problem, just bringing things to the root of the solidarity that needs to be raised in our human nature should be the benefit of our discussions. This should be the surplus that religious and faith-based dialogue should be bringing to the discourse. It's not just environmental, but in general to this emerging crisis. So the process of synodality is important to bring the emergence into the leadership and the decision-making process. I think we need to still inspire and facilitate new narratives, especially in the finance sector. So not just to help and push the implementation of the mechanism for loss and damage compensation that has been agreed in COP27. This is something that is also going to be slow. I'm talking now about making the difference in an impact in investment world. And this is just having at the forefront the common good for future generations. We need to think of the youth. We really need to have the children at the front. So this is really the public good that we need to perceive now. That's why the role of education is crucial. It's not just because it's where the Holy See can provide a peculiar and unique contribution to the global debates, but it's also because we really need to dedicate our strengths at the academic level, not just at the school level. I'm talking here at the educational world in general, to change the paradigm through the promotion of education to integral ecology, which is including so many important things. The Laudato Si Action Platform, that most of you might know, has been an important instrument, and we all need to work together to make these instruments available from the Curia, from the Dicastery, to be available and useful and for all of us. So inspiring and raising awareness is not as banal or futile as it could seem, because this really activates the current process of transformation and gives more strength, and the strength that we really need, especially to facilitate this change of paradigm that I'm talking about. Of course, our role is always ethical, related to the ethical and moral dimension, but it is also about pushing the right people and the right messages at the right time, and to be there where we need to be. And so this is really a moral duty, but it's also to be like the Samaritan in the opening of the Fratelli Tutti remind us to be there for anyone, for everyone. And so, yeah, I think we are in a challenging period where we really need to join forces. And so I'm happy that the sisters still have this convening power to sit at the table, all busy people that need to convene together, spend time, and time for reflection, as my section needs to do in the Dicastery. Thank you.